I don't know much about Argentina, except this is where the tango comes from, and the gauchos and Evita. And I know they love their soccer and their meat. But there's got to be much more to it than that, because this country is humongous!
From the rainforest and mountain deserts of the north, all the way to the immense glaciers of the south, Argentina is the world's 8th largest country. It's only slightly smaller than India and stretches from the Tropic of Capricorn almost to the Antarctic. My journey begins in Iguazu in the north before heading into the mountains of the Andean northwest. From there, it's south to the capital, Buenos Aires, and into Patagonia, first to El Bolson in the Argentinian Lake District, then on to Trelew, before finishing in the glaciers in El Calafate. One of the most famous sights in South America, the Iguazu Falls, separate Argentina from Brazil. They're almost a mile wide. Not surprisingly, these falls were a rich source of mythology for the local Guarani Indians.
Guarani legend has it that the falls originated when an Indian warrior tried to escape down the river with an Indian girl. And the forest god also fancied the Indian girl, so he got angry, so he made the riverbed collapse. So the Indian girl turned into a rock, and the Indian warrior survived as a tree overlooking the waterfall.
When I arrived, it had just rained, so they were a bright orange, chocolatey colour. 2 days later, when it was all clear, they changed completely in colour, so they were all white.
We went by boat into the falls, and it was very spectacular because we were only 2 in the boat, and the guy went all the way in.
The film The Mission was shot at Iguazu. 3 hours south of the falls are the ruins of one of the Jesuit missions which give this province its name, Misiones. From 1607, the Jesuits established 30 missions among the Guarani. As many as 100,000 Indians lived in these settlements, and their labor produced great wealth for the Jesuits. I hope they're on my plane. Flying is the easiest, fastest, and sometimes the only way to get around such a big country. I'm traveling west, up into the Andes, to the most traditional region of Argentina. The Andean Northwest was the first part of Argentina to be colonized by the Spanish and was buzzing when Buenos Aires was just a little town on the coast. Now, it's one of the few places you can still find what's left of the indigenous population. Many of the buildings in this area date from colonial times. Now it's one of the poorest regions in Argentina, and the scattered villages seem to survive mostly on tourist dollars.
Slowly, slowly.
derecha indica el camino al cielo o el
Your
sendero al
guides?
cielo. No siento yo la primera.
Guías?
Guía, sí, sentado. Ahí cuando levanta la mano, ve, indica el camino al cielo.
Okay, but lentamente, slowly. Explain.
Despacito.
Explica slowly.
Despacito.
Levanta la mano
Primera, you first.
Cuando levanta la mano sin la
When he
cruz,
raises his hand,
está indicando el camino al cielo o sendero al cielo.
These are goat toenails. 6 pesos?
The Andean crafts sold here are really just for
$1.
tourists.
it's generally expensive. Compared to other South American countries, it's very expensive.
Yeah, it's about the same as the US or Australia in terms of food and accommodation.
According to one of the local myths, when the Spanish arrived here, the Indians realized that the only way they could stay on their land was to turn themselves into cacti. Now, the cordoni cacti, which litter the landscape, are doing their bit for the tourist trade.
Heard you have to do this because there are no doorbells. Hola! Works. This is cactus? Ya está cactus también? Qué bonita. What do you do with this? Es para hacer qué?
Para hacer trabajo de artesanía.
Pero esta cosa.
Esto va a ser una lámpara.
Oh, this is going to make a lamp.
Sí.
Ah, esta lámpara.
Pantalla quería esto.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's not a garbage can, it's a lampshade. That's very creative.
All the villages in this area are quite close together, and it's easy to get around. There's not much traffic on the roads, but there is a reliable bus service. And you can always strike up a conversation with an Argentinian.
I'm from the United States.
¿Cómo?
Estados Unidos.
Ah, Estados Unidos.
Sí.
¿Quieres un mate?
Sí.
Sí.
La mate.
Sí, proba.
Like this.
¿Qué tal?
Drinking mate is a ritual you'll see all over Argentina, and it's quite common to be offered some.
Bitter. Yeah. Sí.
¿Quieres otro? ¿Te lo pongo más?
Mate is a kind of
It's
tea.
like a straw, no?
It's stuffed in a gourd and drunk through a metal straw called a bombilla.
Sí, a little sugar.
People carry sugar
Mix it
and
in
hot
there.
water flasks for refills.
Okay.
The communal ritual demands that each person take a sip and then hand it on.
I'm in the northernmost part of Argentina, but not only am I south of the equator, I'm at the Tropic of Capricorn. And from here, my journey just goes downhill all the way south. South, 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 south.
South to Salta to take one of Argentina's most famous train journeys, then on to Catamarca for one of its most famous religious festivals. Almost 90% of Argentina's population live in urban areas. Salta was founded in 1582 and remains one of the best preserved colonial cities.
There is a poem it's written about 80 or 100 years ago about Salta. There are fairies here called duendes. The duendes weave a spell over you, which inflicts Salta upon your memory and you can never forget it.
Sammy's an Englishman who's done a lot of traveling and has decided to settle in Salta. He's been here just 10 months and already he's considered one of the family.
And do I get to kiss you too? Are they your friends?
No, I don't know them.
In England, you know, we'd go maybe as far as shaking your hand when you see your mate. Yeah, they'll kiss and hug and then walk down the road arm in arm. You know, but I'll post sex and do this.
Argentinians spend hours in cafes, marriage proposals, business transactions, even revolutions can start here.
Is there anything you Argentina?
There was something I didn't like about Argentina, but I'm getting used to it now.
What's that?
Everybody's got a watch, but there's no time involved. If they make an appointment, they don't keep it. They turn up 3-4 days later and they don't say sorry or anything like that. And I used to get bloody annoyed, but now it's got to the point where I'm becoming like them.
You're wearing a watch.
Yeah, but it's I can't read it without my glasses.
2 in the morning and people are only just getting here, so this is going to go on till my train leaves tomorrow morning, I think. I had to get up at 7:30 this morning, but I think it's going to be worth it because I'm about to take this train to the clouds. It's this famous Argentinian train journey. Buenos dias. My Spanish is fabulous when I'm hungover.
Between April and October, there is a train that does a return trip into the mountains in a single day. This train goes all the way to the Chilean border and back, a journey of 300 miles that takes 3 days, costs just $50, and rises to over 15,000 feet.
Now I know why this trip is called, what's it called? The Train to the Clouds, I think is what it's called. Oh, I've got altitude sickness.
And round here, there's only one answer for that: cocoa leaves.
I just put it in my mouth? I feel like a goat.
Tiene quieto, ¿no? Sin masticarle mucho.
Don't chew it a lot, he's saying. Okay.
Coca is actually illegal in Argentina, but up here in the Andes, it's tolerated and you see people chewing it everywhere.
It tastes like bitter tea leaves. You got a lot in there, don't you?
Huh?
That's a lot. Yeah?
Sí, eso es todo, sí.
Mucho.
Mucho.
It's a long journey, with lots of unexplained stops and nearly 50 tunnels and bridges in between. In the Andean Northwest, you'll also find large Argentinian cattle ranches known as estancias.
It's not unusual in Argentina for families to take in guests, and they usually do it because they could use the extra money. Although, I don't think that's what's going on in this particular situation.
The family who live here have owned the estancia for 8 generations.
Buen día.
Buen día.
¿Cómo está?
Bien, gracias.
Pase, por favor.
Gracias, señor.
Puede seguir por acá.
Okay, gracias.
It's a huge place, but only 5 rooms are rented out.
Muy viejo está.
Es una casa de la época de la colonia. Tiene más o menos 200 años.
It costs $150 a night to stay here, but you get a lot for the money. Book ahead, tell them what your interests are, and they'll arrange your whole stay.
It's really comfortable here. It's not like a hotel at all. There's no television, no telephone, just the sound of ping pong being played in the distance. I noticed there was a swimming pool when I came in, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to see the gauchos.
Gauchos are no longer the fiercely independent, romantic cowboys of legend, but they do a pretty good imitation of it. And all this isn't done as a show for tourists. This is really what they do every day.
that it?
Justin, you looks very nice.
Yeah?
Like an Argentine woman.
I like this.
It's very comfortable, very useful. The white top and the bombachas.
Bombachas. I love these. Can you get these in
yes,
the shops?
You can go to a special shops in Salta and ask for bombachas de gauchos. Because we use the same word, bombachas, for panties.
For panties?
Yes.
You're just being a polite Argentinian gentleman, you are. I know you are. We're gonna brand this one. No.
1, 2, and 3. Yeah, stay there.
Oh.
Enough.
Bridget Bardot would not approve.
That's right. That's enough.
Oh, that's enough.
Yes.
So I feel really bad now. Oh, it's not funny. I really don't feel good about having done that.
Siente mal, dice, pobrecito.
Every week, the gauchos slaughter a cow in this field, then hang it up for a few days before it's ready to eat.
Well, I've eaten beef all my life. I've just never seen a cow being killed.
It's completely natural.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, I think it's a very healthy thing to kill the food you eat. But
Butchering cattle is just a fact of life here. After all, beef is at the heart of both the economy and the diet.
oh my God! Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Oh my God! ¿Qué es the estómago?
Sí.
Oh my God. Look at that. I would hate to think what the inside of my stomach looks like.
Best meat in the world, that's what people say, and it's definitely true. Worth the trip over just for your steak and chips.
Everybody said that if you came to Argentina you would have to live on steak, which I was a bit worried about because I'm a vegetarian. There's lots of non-meat things to eat. Lots of pasta, pizza, great ice cream, and lots of cheap, very nice wine.
Here I am somewhere on the 3,500 acres of the estancia, throwing bread not to the birds, but to the alligators. What do you call him? ¿Cómo se llama? Pepe! Hola, Pepe. Come on, you're a brave gaucho. Go wrestle with the alligator. Who would have thought? Alligators in Argentina.
From Salta, it's further south to Catamarca. If you're here in December, you'll come across thousands of people making their way on foot to a religious festival in honor of the Virgin of the Valley.
This town is so packed right now that the only place to sleep is either outside, in the park, or on the street, or in the school. So I'm in this classroom with these really nice people who walked here literally from hundreds of kilometers away. It took them 6 days to get here, and they walked 7-8 hours a day.
The Virgin of the Valley is known for her healing powers, and those in need flock to her during this festival in hope that she will perform miracles for them. The wooden carving symbolizing the Virgin was discovered early in the 17th century in a cave just outside the city. According to legend, it was moved to another town, but didn't like it there, so miraculously, it made its own way back to the cave. There are many virgins in Catamarca at this time of year, but you can tell which one is the real one. It's the one in the military vehicle. Argentina was ruled by a military government until 1984, and although the army presence is more subtle now, it's definitely still there. I left the mountains and headed out across Argentina's agricultural heartland to its capital, Buenos Aires, home to 40% of the country's population of 33 million. Buenos Aires is Argentina's dominant economic, political, and cultural center. The city prides itself on its European sophistication, although it does have problems with overcrowding, pollution, and unemployment. The widest avenue in the world is in Buenos Aires, 20 lanes to negotiate. It's almost impossible to get all the way across in one go, so if it's summer, you'll be stranded in the burning sun, waiting for the lights to change.
Fantastic. Heaps to do, great people, always really helpful, really friendly.
Feel very relaxed here. Don't feel as if you have to be carrying your passport and your traveller's checks on you all the time.
Well, I was going to stay at the hostel, which is $10 a night, but miles out of the center of town. And then I found this wonderful little hotel, which is $20 a night, but worth every peso. I get this whole room to myself. And like most places in Argentina, it's really clean. And the bathroom has a toilet, a shower, and a bidet, all in the room the size of a shoebox. Bed's nice and firm, but the best bit is this terrace. Now, to be honest, there's a price you pay for being centrally located. I don't get much sleep, but who cares? I'm in Buenos Aires, and it almost looks like Europe.
It's a cosmopolitan city with European prices to match its European architecture.
It's completely different from anything I'd imagine in South America. You don't see the class difference that you see in the rest of in the third world country. You don't see it here at all.
Buenos Aires owes its growth to its strategic position as a port. In fact, the people here are known as porteños. Known for their beauty and arrogance, there's even an Argentinian saying that goes, "Porteños know that God is everywhere, but his office is in Buenos Aires." There are more psychologists per capita here than anywhere else in the world, and so many dogs that you can even make a career out of exercising them. And in a country mad about football, they're maddest about Boca Juniors, Diego Maradona's club.
¿Es la Boca? ¿Sí? ¿No es la Boca? ¿Qué número?
60, 60.
60. ¡Ah! 60 es para la Boca. 60, ¿no?
Creo que 46.
46? But it says 168. Is it 40? Is it 60? Is it 168?
You ask one person, they'll tell you one bus, so you go to that bus, they'll try and get that bus. Someone else will tell you another thing, so you go to another bus and get another bus. In the end, you just don't arrive at the place, just jump in a taxi. It's just so easy, that's the transport.
Taxis aren't nearly as confusing. There are lots of them, and they're affordable. But you can always take the Underground, which is the oldest one in South America. A ticket costs less than $1 for the day, and it's a small price to pay to have to open the doors. yourself. It doesn't go everywhere, but it does go to the main square in Buenos Aires, the Plaza de Mayo. This is home to the presidential palace, the Casa Rosada. During the Falklands War, huge crowds demonstrated here. Some events from that era are still very much alive. In the 70s and 80s, thousands of people were kidnapped by government decree and never seen again. This period came to be known as the Dirty War. Since then, a group called the Mothers of the Disappeared have demonstrated here every Thursday. Distinctive in their white scarves, they've continued to demand justice for their missing children. In central Buenos Aires, you can visit the famous Recoleta Cemetery, the final resting places for Argentina's elite. Even President Perón didn't make it here, and although his wife Evita did, it took her a while.
Her body was mysteriously disappeared, and was disappeared for about 17 years. And the fact was that the military government was afraid that by having her body present, it would encourage further praise of Evita.
So what do people think about the musical Evita and the film?
When the musical first came out years ago, it was a bomb put at the theater. It was the record was banned in the country.
You mean Evita's the musical has never been performed in Buenos Aires?
Argentina? No, it hasn't. No. And with the film, a great number of people were very opposed to their saint, their Evita, being portrayed by Madonna. Here she is.
I kind of expected I'd get here and there'd sort of be hundreds of adoring tourists. What does this say?
It says, "Don't cry for me, lost or far."
Right across the street from the cemetery, you can buy stuff that'll kill you. Ice cream made from dulce de leche, an Argentinian invention.
You take milk and you boil like even amounts of milk and sugar, and
it's milk and sugar.
Milk and sugar, basically. Milk.
So
and
it's
this
like
is ice cream made of milk and sugar, and it's very sweet.
Oh, very sweet, yummy, very caramely, and about 4,000 calories a spoonful.
Like many Latin countries, men treat women here with a certain machismo style.
They like saying piropos to women.
What's that?
The piropo, it's compliment.
Piropo means compliment.
It means compliment. Just walking along, an old man in a suit might sort of whisper something into your ear.
Like what? Like you beautiful,
what are you doing
chocolate
tonight,
covered,
gorgeous?
beautiful. Does it happen to you?
All the time.
Yeah? I think what he just told me is that I'm like a lomo, a piece of meat, and he wants to be a fried egg so he can lie next to me.
Lifestyle is really different to everything back home. Just the times they do everything, like you get up and have coffee for breakfast at 10 or 11, and then steak for lunch, steak and beer, because of course the beer's cheaper than the water and the Coke, and then dinner at about 11 or 12, and yeah, dancing and drinking till 4 or 5 in the morning.
You can go out on a Tuesday night and it's like Friday or Saturday night in London.
Buenos Aires certainly isn't a city for early nights. The fun starts after dark and goes on until dawn. And of course, this is the home of the tango, that passionate fusion of gaucho and European influences which met and merged in the poorer sections of Buenos Aires a century ago.
You don't dance tango, you walk it. But the man leads.
Is that part of the sort of macho character of the...
No, it's definitely a part of the macho character of the dance. The whole thing of tango is that you improvise all the time. The basic step allows you to break it at any point and add in some sort of figure, that, you know, a turn or something like that. And you can carry on and on and on. And the music tells you what to do.
Que tu cuerpo se mueva con el mío a partir de los pies, desde los pies. O sea,
so my body moves with yours except my feet.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
The tango was more or less outlawed under the military government, but not anymore. There are loads of places you can have lessons now, usually in the clubs, before the serious stuff starts.
In the last 2 years, there's been an enormous growth in young people coming to it. Differently to other Latin American dances, which are so popular today because they are fun. Well, the fun of tango is between you and me dancing it. 10 minutes of embrace with someone you've never met before, you don't know anything about, you just give in, and after 4 or 5 tunes, the music changes and everybody sits down. So what happened between you and that person during those 4 or 5 tunes was magic, and then it's over.
Time to head south into that land of legend, Patagonia. First stop, El Bolson in Argentina's Lake District. People say it's like Switzerland without the people. Argentina welcomed Jews from Germany in the 30s, as well as Nazis looking for a place to hide in the 40s. This is where some of them ended up. This is the perfect place to recover from the hurly-burly of Buenos Aires. Rafting, hiking, mountain biking, they've got it all. El Bolson is famous as a place to escape the rat race and is full of people from the cities looking for a better life. It was the first place in South America to go anti-nuclear, and the whole place runs on small-scale agriculture, industry, and art.
A rich man is a poor man, and poor man is a rich man, and the story is told.
El Bolson is another place that relies on tourism for much of its income.
Feel so high, that's why I'm gonna try to make you.
One of the people you might come across is Luis, who gave up a successful job in the States to come here for the simple life. Now he lives in a house he built with his own fair hands.
Have you ever built anything?
No, never, not even a doghouse.
You never even
So I learned by doing. I made various mistakes.
So, what did your house look like in the States?
Oh, it was a typical American bungalow.
Uh-huh.
And he had all the luxuries.
Luis lives on about $2,000 a year, made from poetry and art.
Okay.
What kind of people live here in El Bolson?
Well, the majority are either artists or crazy or a combination of the two.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more artists per square meter over here than any other place that I've known. And also crazy people too. I mean, really crazy. The true meaning of the word crazy. In a good way.
In a good way?
Yeah, and there's some that are kind of, they should be behind walls, but they kind of add a little spice to the environment.
Is there a toilet I could use?
Yeah, I'm sure it's kind of out in the woods.
Cut. Well, hitchhiking isn't something that I normally do, especially alone, but everyone in El Bolson does it, and they all say that it's safe.
Oh yeah, it's a way of life. When my car's not running, which is very often, or I don't have money for gas, I hitchhike, and everybody hitchhikes.
So I'm gonna give it a try.
If I would give advice to a woman traveler, I would think it's a pretty safe country to travel in. You haven't got to feel like you're being watched or followed or anything all the time.
Definitely a safe place to travel.
There's no sort of hostile feelings at all.
I think he's stopping. He is stopping. He's scary looking. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I want to get in this car. Hola! Always take a good look at the person who you're going to get in a car with. He looks fine.
Outside the El Bolsón district, it's not recommended for women to hitch alone in Argentina. Down here, though, you can meet up with other travelers and do a journey across northern Patagonia to Trelew. The bus takes 14 hours, so allow more time if you're hitching a ride.
Well, it's 2 days, and I'm here, and it was bumpy and dusty, but I loved every minute of it. Ciao, Elsa.
The main attraction in these parts is the wildlife along the coast. It's a 2-hour drive from Trelew to one of the biggest penguin colonies in the South Atlantic. You'll never get closer to a penguin than this.
Oh, you got a sharp beak. 500,000 penguins live here from September to March, and they always come back to the same nest, and they mate for life. But the best thing about the penguin is how they walk. How come no one else here is trying to imitate penguin walk? Come on.
You associate penguins with ice, and you don't see this kind of landscape and millions of penguins, so it's still for me beyond comprehension too. I can't understand this.
You know, the telephone book can tell you a lot about a place. For example, this telephone book represents the southern part of Argentina. It's 250,000 square miles. These are the yellow pages, and these are all the people who live here. So let's see who lives in Guyman. Guyman. That's it. This is Guyman right here. Archie Griffiths, Sybil Evans, Derwin Thomas, and my friend here, Lloyd George Jones.
Lloyd George Jones. Salud, Yakida.
Yakida. That's, we're speaking Welsh in Patagonia.
The majority of Argentinians are descended from European immigrants, and around here, especially in the town of Guyman, it's the Welsh. They first settled here in 1864, and if you visit today, you can still sit down for a Welsh cream tea.
Oh my God, look at that. How do you say thank you in Welsh?
Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch yn fawr. Yeah? Diolch yn fawr?
Yeah.
So is this is that a Welsh clock?
I'd have to look at it.
So is it ringing tea time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock tea.
Wherever you go in Argentina, you will always find the asado, the Argentinian barbecue.
More meat. But in Patagonia, it's lamb. And unless you don't mind having your fingers in your mouth the entire time that you're in Argentina, I suggest that you carry with you a healthy supply of dental floss. I'm serious.
Right at one end of the main street in Guyman is one of the most bizarre places you will see anywhere. A theme park made out of garbage.
100 perchas en cada tirón de esos, y hay 38, 3.800 perchas.
3,800 hangers.
20.000 tubos de estos.
20,000 tubes in the park. 80,000 bottles in the park.
30.000 latas colocadas en todo
30,000
el
beer
parque.
cans in the whole park.
Aquellas
These flowers are made from women's
son
tights.
flores de botellas de plástico.
And the ones behind us are made from
Elementos.
plastic bottles.
Hay también flores de lata. hay de
Flowers
todo.
made out of tin cans.
París tiene su
London
torre
has the Tower of
Eiffel.
London. Paris has the
Pisa
Eiffel Tower.
tiene su torre
Pisa has the
inclinada.
Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Gaiman o el desafío tiene su
So
torre
he has
de
the Tower
tubos.
of Tubes.
Hecho tal cual en dibujo. Los colores
This
se
is a
los dio.
rendition of the Guernica of Picasso, painted in green because he thinks gray is depressing.
Este es un homenaje a los caídos en las Malvinas.
This is a memorial to those who fell in the Falklands War.
Creo que único homenaje privado
And he
que
thinks it's
hay en
the only
Argentina.
private one in Argentina.
Cuando empecé a hacer esto, la gente
When he
me
started making
decía
this part,
que yo
people
estaba
thought that he
loco.
was crazy.
Por eso
So he decided to make up this
este
little
parque
phrase, which
lo
says,
está haciendo un
this
gran
park was
loco
made by a crazy
que
man
perdió
who's
todo
lost everything
menos la
except his
razón.
reason.
Buses are the only real alternative to flying if you're traveling any distance in Argentina.
The buses are really efficient and very civilized. They serve afternoon tea at 4 o'clock and show videos and have constant supplies of coffee and orange juice, but they're not cheap.
The journey to El Calafate through Patagonia takes over 19 hours. This enormous region stretches south of Buenos Aires to Tierra del Fuego on the southern tip, which is shared by Argentina and Chile. Winter temperatures in Patagonia can drop below freezing, and few travelers venture here then. The journey lacks variety, but just when you're about to fall asleep, that's when you see the strangest things.
This isn't a recycling center, it's a shrine, and you find these all over Argentina along the sides of the road. And it's in honor of a woman who died of thirst after she followed her husband around the Civil War. And the story goes that even after she was dead for 4 days, she was still suckling her baby boy who survived. So now people come here hoping for all kinds of miracles, and they bring offerings like bottled water and flowers, bubble gum, and even this plaster cast.
El Calafate is a little frontier town that relies on the summer tourist trade for its existence. People have been living here for thousands of years, and there are cave paintings near the lake that date back just as far.
When we arrived here, we're looking for some peace.
And you found it?
Yeah, we found it. Yeah, we found it. This is a special place, very mystic place. And
Do you feel that?
yeah, so every day.
But when the tourists aren't here, what do you do with your time?
We read, we fishing, make love also.
Sounds like paradise.
Yeah.
The main reason people come to El Calafate is to visit the Parque Nacional Los Glaciares, an hour-and-a-half's drive away. For about $80, a tour boat will take you to see several awesome glaciers. The most spectacular of these glaciers is the Perito Moreno, named after the 19th century explorer who discovered it.
Amazingly, the glacier is the same color as the Argentinian flag. It's blue and white.
The Moreno Glacier is more than 200 feet high, 22 miles long, and over 2,000 feet thick. The boat trip is spectacular, but the best way to see it is on foot.
8,200 people came last season?
Yes, only in January an average from 80 persons each day.
I thought I was special. Small step for man, huge step for mankind. Womankind.
An experienced guide can take you for a 3-hour trek right along the glacier. This is one of the planet's few advancing glaciers, moving about 7 feet a day. The unique conditions here mean that glaciers can form at extremely low altitudes. Rarely visited, but with a special request to the guide, are the cave formations under the glacier. The unusual blue color of the glacier comes from the way light is refracted by the ice, which has been compacted into crystals over thousands of years.
Argentina isn't anything like what I expected a South American country to be like. Maybe that's because for the most part, Argentinians are European. They even speak Spanish with an Italian accent. And I wasn't prepared for the variety of landscape here. And the food and the music, it's all great, except for one thing. It's outrageously expensive, and not just for travelers, but you get the feeling that Argentinians are having a hard time making ends meet. So Argentina isn't perfect, but it comes pretty close.
Thank you.